How's everybody doing? Thank you guys so much for coming today. That echoes phenomenal. Hello? There's got to be somebody from Disney. Raise your hand. You probably That's Tom's favorite pasta hair. Ready to go away. We're just going to enjoy that echo. So again, thank you guys so much for coming today to Tom G Celebration of Life service. Celebrating the life of a man that there's no words for. You know, look at the people that are here today. I'm sure all of you guys had an opportunity to look at the posts on Facebook talking about Tom and the amazing legacy he's left behind. It is truly a darker, darker world today without this man in it. One of the things that we like to do is we want to bring people up on stage and allow you an opportunity to kind of talk about, you know, maybe how Tom's influenced your life. And some of you may not like to speak on stage, but that's okay. A lot of you are from business, so you're just fine. I would start with one of my Tom stories that I think you'll love it. A lot of people know how great Tom is at, you know, helping people in their career, helping people professionally. I got my wife directing the stage for me. But something a lot of people won't know about Tom is one of the things that he did is he would give selflessly, but you would never know he did it. You know, we used to talk about it, how he would do things for people and you never talk about it after that. In 1988, my dad got severe cancer, was no longer able to work. And Tom had just got married, and they got his own place, everything was good, he was, you know, living the dream. And when this happened, my dad couldn't work, and he still had me and, you know, family to support. And so Tom, being Tom, literally moved back into our home and got 2 full-time jobs and 1 part-time job and supported my family. Now, he did that and never once complained, never once spoke about it again, and the way he did it was what was amazing about Tom. And there's so many stories like that about the things that he did for people without, you know, asking for anything back, and did it selflessly, and that's truly who Tom was. Tom and I used to talk about, you know, like our careers and professionalism, and, you know, our growth and things of that nature. Tom, again, been with us for 34 years and loved Disney with all his heart. But it wasn't about our financial accomplishments and things of that nature, that about the money we made. What we talked about when we talked about our success in our jobs is the people that, you know, we helped, the people that got growth, you know. We love nothing more than to see success in others. And that's who Tom was in a nutshell. That's the things we need to remember about him. Again, a life gone way, way too soon. You don't find, it's so hard to find, you know, somebody that, you know, you find somebody that's going to say something bad about this individual or something like that. But everybody you meet, when you talk about Tom, is, oh, Tom this, Tom that. It's so great to know those things, but he will be missed, but we've got to remember those. And we need, if you want to remember Tom going into the future, that's how you do it, is you carry it on by doing what he would do to other people as well. He loved selflessly, he gave selflessly, he would go without some others would have, and never ever once complained, and did it with a smile on his face. He was so unique in his talent set and his skill set that people didn't even know about. As I stand here with my flip-flops and my toenails painted in honor of my brother, I think about us going to the toy store. You know, I am 20 something, I'll leave it at that. My brother was 55, or we would go, and him and I have a toy collection that will blow your mind, and it's just something that we love. We would have these competitions where, you know, we try to buy each other something and make it as cheap as possible, and the cheaper person won. Tom is no longer with us, so he's the one that won last time, so we'll just leave it at that. There's so many things I can say about my brother, guys, and I don't want to be the only one to do it, so I would like to ask Mr. Mark Feldman. No? You sure? Or Nancy with him? Nancy, come on up. This is Tom's wife, the much better half of my brother. Young shout out to questions. As you see in these photos, so Nancy, here. Watch out there.
I wrote it on my phone here. Tom was the most wonderful man I have ever known. From the moment I met him many years ago, I knew genuine and caring, yet upfront and honest. He also adorably looked a bit like Bunsen Honeydew. At that time, I only knew him as Disney manager Tom G, which we all know was a privilege in and of itself. We used to walk World Showcase together after work for exercise. I think it was 1.2 miles, if I'm remembering correctly, and talk about life, our families, and how to be a better leader. And after we reconnected, I realized exactly what an impact he had on me. Things I'd been saying for years. Spandex is a privilege, not a right. Can I ask you a question? Blue cheese or ranch if they don't have it? Better to act and ask for forgiveness later, though truthfully I think only he could get away with that. It all came from Tom G. But you all know this. You don't need me to tell you what an impact Tom G, the leader, had. We all know this. But I want to talk about my Tom, my husband, my soulmate, the love of my life. I used to joke that if I had a machine to spit out my perfect man, it would be him. Absolutely adorable, funny as hell, so smart, I love his brain so much. A genuinely good man, and he loved show tubes. Perfect match. The first time Tom came to visit me in Vegas, he asked if he could go to my house while I was at work and do laundry. I came home that night, and I guess I had left some laundry in the dryer. He had folded all of my laundry, including my underwear. I looked at him and I thought, I love this man. I actually closed on my house while Tom was there that first time. He came with me to closing. I never threw away the moving boxes. They're still in my garage. I knew the moment he reconnected with me that it was Bashir, which is meant to be. I never knew I was capable of loving someone so much. It was like he was an extension of myself. That man was the best snuggler I've ever known, and we fit together perfectly. We spent most of our time just sitting on the couch and snuggling watching TV. He was the first man to send me flowers, which he loved. But I got to see a side of Tom that he often kept hidden behind his name tag. The passionate man. Passionate about music, passionate about cooking. He always used to cook for me and put it in the freezer so he could know that he was taking care of me from afar. This stuff was really good, too. Passionate about learning. The incredibly silly man. Our favorite thing to do was laugh. We all know his terrible dad jokes, right? He could start telling a story totally earnestly, and then he would realize, wait, oh, it's not real. No, it's a setup. Wait, dad joke, it's coming. Oh, there it is. Oh, and I would always say, swing and a miss. And then I would put my hands on his face, and I would say, you're so, so cute, and so, so stupid. And then I'd kiss him because the joy he got from being so stupid was infectious. Calling each other stupid was the highest compliment in our relationship. He once called me from an airport because he went to Starbucks, and the cashier said, can I get a name? And he responded, isn't that your parents' job? She was not amused. But he sure was. He sent me a selfie with his cup, and I have never seen a man so proud. He was such a stud. I loved to sing with Tom in the car, often to Queen or show tunes. He was always just a little off key, but the passion behind it could make you cry. He would sing to me, and I never felt so loved. All we ever wanted to be able to do is to hold each other's hand and walk through farmers markets for the rest of our lives. He had such beautiful large hands. I always say that I have giant man hands, which I do. It's true. I have giant man feet too. These are Tom's shoes, by the way. I brought sandals. It's Florida. I didn't think it was going to be cold. I always say that I have giant man hands, but with Tom, I felt like a dainty lady. During one of our more challenging times, this year, a friend of mine put his hand on my shoulder and said, no matter what happens, you've got to experience something that few people get. I've seen you together and how you are. That is special. I feel robbed that we only got a short time together. Angry. He promised me the rest of our lives. We had plans and dreams. But I've come to understand that he was on borrowed time. If I had a choice to have only 2.5 years of Tom's love, or none at all, I'd even take only 1 minute. I'm the luckiest woman in the world to have been loved so unconditionally. He made me feel like the most beautiful and special woman in the world. I loved him more than life itself. When I was with him, I was home no matter where we were. All I had to do was hold his hand, and my troubles melted away. The way he said bathroom, blueberry, how he would say, I don't like sweets, and then eat a whole bag of candy. His strange obsession and love of chickens. His incredibly stupid manual transmission car. That I learned to drive, by the way. The sexiest thing he ever told me was, I just don't get organized sports. Tom genuinely never realized how amazing he was. I used to get so frustrated with him because he just couldn't see it. He only ever wanted to take care of others. He wanted to make others shine and feel special. He was the most generous person. The first time he hung out with my family, we kept losing him. We were walking around Vegas and he just would disappear. He was holding a door or taking a photo for someone. And we turned it into a game for my nieces to earn Tom points. 1 point for holding the door, 1 point for stopping to help a family take a photo, and 1 point for striking up a conversation with a random cashier and finding out their life story. Every time I see my nieces hold the door for someone, I will see Tom. And they do. Tom left his impact on everyone he met. In every parade, in every smile, in every new leader who has just a little more confidence in themselves for having known him. But most of all, he has changed me. I will forever see myself through his eyes. One of the last things we did together was see the movie Wicked. I keep telling him now, I have been changed for good. After the last time he visited me in Vegas, he sent me an image of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet with a quote. How lucky I am to have something to make saying goodbye so hard. Sadly, Tom could never see himself the way we all saw him. He had struggles in his life with alcoholism that he kept hidden. Tom needed help but couldn't bring himself to ask for it until it was too late. And even then, he struggled. All I can say is, please, if you need help, whether for addiction or just mental health, please ask for it. I love you bunches, my Tom. I love you forever.
As my son gets up to do that, and that's because my son is, what's your first name? Anthony, right? Anthony, because of my brother Tom's Anthony, and I laughed when Nancy was talking about holding the doors, and I remember my wife and I, we'd be going shopping somewhere, and we'd be in the car, the groceries loaded, and we'd be done. She's like, where is he? And then you look, and he's holding the door, or talking to somebody, or helping somebody that we don't even know. And 20 minutes later, we're still there. But I thank God for that, and I thank my brother for that, because my brother was the greatest influence. He was my hero, beyond a shadow of a doubt. You know, most brothers do not bring their little brother along unless their parents make them. We are 6 years apart, and even when he was in high school, hanging out with Jason and Brian and Joe and everybody, and Jason and Brian guys, remember cruising up and down I-Drive at 4 miles an hour, thinking we were cool with our bass in our hoopy car. But I can remember that because he would take me, and I can remember him taking me to school and just bring me along on things that little brothers don't get to do. And at the time, I just thought it was normal. But realizing later on, looking back, how truly, truly lucky I am, and how grateful I am to have had Tom as my brother is beyond comprehension. I miss him so much right now that it just sucks. And I see him everywhere, and I know he's around. And I was driving his car, and I can remember the dumb things we could do, going on the turnpike at 80 miles an hour and tickling each other, and slapping each other, and knocking the car into neutral, throwing gummy bears at each other on the highway. Just all the dumb memories we have, but they're things that I will cherish forever. So I can tell you that if you've got somebody in your life that you love, or if you've got somebody in your life that you love and you've got some resentment in your heart, or something of that nature, find the time today to forgive them. Because I can promise you, I did not know my brother was going to be gone that quick. I'm thankful so much that the day before he passed, I spent all morning with him and all night with him. If you asked me what we did, you'd laugh. We were just playing around, being dumb, being stupid brothers, But I have that as a final memory with Tom, and I'll never forget that. But I look at people that have that same situation and then they're, resentment or something like that. So knowing Tom, if you've got somebody like that in your life, man, forgive them today. Go talk to them. You ain't gotta like them, you gotta hang out with them. Forgive them and make sure you clear the air, because man, life is short, you never know. I'll get you another little Tom story real quick. My brother was my best man in my wedding, so my beautiful wife sitting right there. And I remember when I'm getting dressed, of course, as you guys know from Disney, Tom is the man with like thread the needle, gets me dressed or stuff like that, where I was like, what is this tie thing, what do I do? And Tom would help. But I remember, my wife's name was Lanita, and my brother never once called her that. He, for life, called her Lanita, which is just a joke name between them, but that's funny. But my brother, as I was getting married, had like crackers in his throat or something like that, and he just could not stop coughing the entire time that we were getting married. And as I was rocking, he'd be coughing, and my boy tried to hold me still, and I remember that memory. But Tom jokes about it all the time, and I go, why are you bringing that back up now? He talked about it like 2 days before he passed away, and I said, why are you bringing that back up now? And he goes, well, Ray, I'm still just amazed that she married you to begin with. That's kind of something that Tom would do, it's out of left field. But Tom was just so generous. People talk about like, I'm generous, I'm like, thanks, that's great, but Tom, the way he does things and how he does them and why he does them, just blows my mind. The world is definitely a darker place without him here. There's no words to put to play about what he means to me. I'm so thankful. We've been so tight. Thank God, we only live about 2 miles apart. And I'd go to his house, he'd come to my house, and we'd just hang out and do things. And I wish we did more. Now looking back, I wish we did more. One more story I think gets missed. I need to come up with a story. But when we lived out on the lake, out on Jen Scott Lobby, my brother and I were out in front. I think Jason, you were there. And there was a steak. And he's like, oh yeah, it's not poisonous. I'm like, cool. So I picked it up. And those of you who don't know about steak, it's a rat snake. And he ate me, wham, it bit me twice. And I threw it, and I started crying. And he was on the ground crying, laughing, while my mom came out and tried to suck the poison out of my arm. She didn't know what it was. And he was like, oh, and he laughed. So, yeah. That's my brother, right there. I went and bought the shirt today. Not easy because I have this, just a slim figure. But I bought the shirt today because it's something that Tom loved, his favorite brand. It's like, as I put it on, I just looked at him and I think about him like when I'm colorblind. So when I would get dressed, people look at me and go, Ray, that's not going to work. And just his fashion sense, his love, his overall spirit. There will never be another Tom G. There'll never be one. And he's missed and he's loved beyond belief. So I think somebody else get it. Tell us where the rest of the crowd will be. So I'll keep this name right here. What's your name, sir?
Hi there, guys. So no sad stuff. Not what you wanted. To open my little spiel today. You told me something a long time ago, and I'm grateful that I remember it to this day. On a whim, he said, if I ever die, I want somebody to tell the stupidest joke they could think of. So I wrote nothing. So a classic. Everybody's gonna do it with me, and to the best I can.
Who's there?
You. I like that drink too. Now, as you would say, you might have mentioned a second ago, my fondest memory is him and my uncle had a bag of gummy bears and a bag of sour grapes at their very nice cars going 70 miles down the turnpike, licking them and chucking them at each other's windows
While we were driving.
And so that was funny. His brothers things. My dad and them, they laughed like, it's gonna take weeks to get off. We get back only to find that Tom had beat us home and covered our entire screen door with gummy bears. He was an amazing man, and he had an influence on a lot of us. I will never ever forget him, and I know a lot of you won't either. I don't have too much to say. He wouldn't want me to take up a lot of time. He wants us to be happy. This is his shirt. Makes me really happy to wear it.
And shoes.
And Nancy told me this a couple times. We are very similar in size and a lot of things. If anybody needs a hug afterwards, she says I hug a lot like him. So if you want to come see me, I'll be by the door.
Whose shoes are you wearing?
These are also his shoes. Nancy, can I tell a little story about these shoes? Not going too in depth. So my dad got these from my uncle. They like reefs. They have little bottle openers on the bottom. And so for him, he told my dad, thank you very much, because on his honeymoon night, they didn't have to leave the room to get a bottle opener because it was on his shoe. And so that makes me very happy, and I will continue that tradition.
We're brothers, so we share everything, right? We go into details that no two human beings should ever go into, not even a husband and wife. And I love my brother for that. But hearing him talk about Nancy, what Nancy meant to Tom, when his first wife, Barbara, passed away, he was in a bad place, as you can imagine. It was abrupt, it was far too quick, and I was there with him because that's what you do. But he was in a dark place, and I remember him, he was like, I'm going to be alone forever, it's going to be terrible. And I was like, what are you talking about? And after a while, he's like, maybe, and I remember my wife and I went and met Nancy for the first time in St. Cloud at Tijuana Flats. And on the drive there, I'm all, huffing and puffing. I'm like, she thinks she's good. My brother? I don't even know. We'll see. I'm going to grill her. I got these questions. And we get there, and we order some food, and I'm like just eyeballing. I'm like, she's a woman. I'm like I'm blowing up to her. And we start telling stories, right? And Tom talks about a moment when, he was thinking about Barbara, he started crying, which is understandable. And in that moment, anyone could be jealous of that situation or say, this isn't right. And when Tom told me what Nancy said, I did not ask a question. I looked at my wife and I go, I guess I'm out. Because what Nancy said was, Tom, if we are going to have a future, then Barbara needs to be a partner. And that shows you the strength in Nancy. That shows you the love that she has for Tom. That shows you the love that Tom has as well. Tom's heart was far too big. My brother's a brilliant man. Please understand that. Very intelligent, well-spoken, funny as all get out. He was going to always be my lifeblood. He must be a millionaire. But there was that whole Disney, NDA. I couldn't get on there. But his heart was bigger. There are so many things that he did to do things the right way. I was 13 years old and we were in St. Cloud on the road on his car, and we found a purse right there it was like Tennessee, like Lakeshore. And he opens it, tries to find ID, and there was, forgive me, but it was a little over $7 grand in cash, no lie. Now I'm a little kid, right? I'm like, what are we gonna do with that? Excited. And my brother goes, I'll show you. And we drove to the police department and we turned it in. And I was a younger kid, so I'm like, what are we doing all that money for? And explaining why we did it. And those things like that Tom was, that he instilled in people, and it just makes me remember, not just funny and great and loving, but honorable, and just so straightforward. He did the greatest things in the world. His job and his accomplishments were amazing, and he tried his best to lift others up and build others up. I mean, we would always talk about, when we see somebody and they would get that promotion or they would, get that advance in their career. Those are the things that mattered to Tom, truthfully, and they were what mattered to me as well. Tom had so many stories like that about people that he helped, and then, he'd be like, yeah, I got to meet their parents later on in the park or something like that. you know, those are the things that we need to remember about Tom, who he was. So, he's gone way too soon. Way too soon. And a loving man. Doesn't he look really good in that picture right there, by the way? I was joking when we were at the wedding. I know, right? I was trying to see him, I'm like, you look kind of like, you know, like a Calvin Klein model. You look fresh as death right now, bro. And he goes, yeah, I know, I'm the prettier one. Yeah. We used to go to Mecco, you know, Mecco, the auto auction thing all the time. And, you know, talk about like what we would buy if we had this, that, and the other, and stuff like that. And we're walking out of Mecco, he's always on the phone with Nancy. And there's it was right there at 1H. What's that thing called? That Silver Spurs Ring? It's called that? No, it's called that. All right, Heritage Park used to be Silver Spurs right now. There was a lady there, and she had fluffy cows. I don't know if you've ever seen a fluffy cow, but it's a cow with long, fluffy, curly hair. And so along with I was on the phone with Nancy, and he had either eaten something, imagine that, and he saw the cows and literally lost his mind. Like, I mean, lost his mind. He's like, does that come with hair? And we went up and we spoke to that woman and those cows for about an hour. My wife's calling me, are you guys going home yet? I'm like, oh no, my brother's petting a fluffy cow. She's like, who's fluffy cow? I'm like, I have no idea. But that was the stuff that we did, and that was the stuff that we enjoyed and that we loved. Blessing people behind the scenes. My brother, he'd have some work done on his door. And one of his prized possessions for himself was a Haro BMX. Kim and I growing up, we didn't get a Haro BMX. We didn't get like a BMX was got like the B and then maybe the X and had one time we shared it. But he always wanted like that, you know, this is expensive high school. So we had it brand new in his garage. The guy came in the door work and it was somebody that we knew really well. And he had always wanted a Haro as well. And when it was all done, Tom was like, hey, come here for a second. And he goes, let me bless you. And he gave him the bike. He just gave it to him blindly. He was like, I can't take this. And Tom's like, no, I need to do this for you. And I always wanted the bike, but that's okay. But he called me, and I was so ecstatic about it because it brought me joy knowing what he did and how he did it, because I know it brought that person joy. And we've all got to step up and do a lot more of that, because to fill those shoes is not going to be an easy task at all. Yeah. Who else would like to come up and tell a story? There's a lot of us here. Yeah. This beautiful young lady is my daughter, Matt.
If you're interested in sharing, if you want to maybe just come down here.
Yeah, if you guys want to share, and if you don't want to share, that's okay. Tom, we want you to share, so come up here.
You know, one or two down, so that we know.
But this is my daughter, Matt. Here you go.
I don't need this. I also was a Disney cast member for several years, and I remember whenever I told him I got hired, and then I got promoted to trainer and coordinator and facilitator, it was always, I'm so proud of you, I'm so, you know, hyping me up, everything like that. And then most recently, I did make the switch to the theme park down the road, and I got a promotion there, and he goes, I'm so proud of you. Can you trader? Thank you. But one of my favorite memories and stuff was, you know, going to the park, everything like that, and I won tickets to the Christmas party on Magic Backstage. Those of you who know, you know. And I got to take one of my friends, and we get to MK, and I text him, and I was like, hey, are you here? And he said, I'm always here. Where are you at? So we meet him over by Tony's, and he goes, do you want to do something cool? Me, who has been going with him to Disney for several years, if we're over by Tony's in the Town Square Theater, I know what's about to happen, okay? My friend, who loves Nightmare Before Christmas, had no idea. So we walk to the Town Square Theater, and we're opening all these doors that say, you know, cast members only, no access, all these things. And her being a cast member as well was like, am I about to get fired? Like, do I need to have my blue ID out or something? And we go and we just skipped the entire 4-hour-long line, Sally. And we took pictures, we were in full costume, everything like that. It was great, and we got to do that with pretty much any character that we wanted for the whole night. It was just kind of walking around and like having an express lightning lane. But yeah, I mean, that was one of my favorite things with him. Most recently, anytime he came over to my house, There's a picture that you'll see in the slideshow on the bottom corner of him holding an orange cat. That is my cat, Oliver. And every time he came over, he said, just, leave your windows open at night. I'll make sure he's good. You can leave your door unlocked. Don't worry. I'll come take care of it. He tried to steal him multiple times. Oh yeah, he was gonna steal Oliver.
Yeah.
I have made the switch to Universal, but I still carry a lot of things and stuff that he instilled in me in terms of being good to other people and having that professional relationship with people and just being a good person in general. Whether it's to a guest, to your peers, to a stranger that you're meeting who's checking you out of the grocery store, it's just being a good person. Even if you're going through it, just be good.
Hey, it's all good.
Y'all don't need to look at me. We're gonna look at Tom while I just talk. Hi, Nancy. So, my name's Nicholas Franz. I don't know if y'all can hear me right. All right, cool. I don't need this. So I've only known Tom for since July of this year. Who am I to come up here and say something, right? Well, the reason I figured I'd do that is because, as Nancy said, the short impact that Tom has, it's very grateful, and I appreciate getting the time to meet him. A little background about me is I met Tom in rehab. I may have had a little bit of a problem with drinking, but mostly it was mental health. I work in law enforcement, and back in January of last year, I was involved in an incident where I got shot. So I was having a very hard time dealing with that. There was a bunch of other things, not just being shot in and of itself. People died, my other partner got shot. It's whatever. But I was going through it. I was in a very dark headspace. And when I met Tom, I think it was the second time he came back because he was having a hard time. So he wanted to get that help again. I missed the first time, but if he wouldn't have came back the second time, I never would have been blessed with his presence. And as I was in that dark headspace, I was just filled with so much hatred and everything. I couldn't be comfortable where I was. I was mad at everything. I had so much disassociation, so much just feeling like a victim, feeling like this. And then there's Tom. Tom was just a ray of sunshine. Like, I would try to get the man to curse and he couldn't do it. It's funny, he told me I'm the only person that could use the F word in multiple different meanings. From playing dominoes and being mad that I lost, just saying it in general. And he's a very brilliant man. We had this thing where we would always say in like the very morning, like a word of the day. And I would just say something basic just because I wasn't feeling it. But then Tom would come up with this like, the hardest word I can think of that I kind of know how to say is serendipitous, right? But every other word he'd say, I'm like, and I'd have to Google it. He would actually like pull it up and be like, it means. So it was funny. Something along those lines. I'm like, can you spell that? And he's like, spelling it. So I actually had the fortunate of meeting Nancy on one of the visits, and I had to go up and talk to her because he wouldn't shut up about it. That's all he would say. Is he would talk about his wife and all this, that, and everything. He's just so positive. So the first thing I said to her was, your husband is a great man. That was the most, like, there's nothing. I could feel comfortable talking to him when I couldn't feel comfortable talking to anybody. I didn't want to. But him, it was hard not to want to be around him. And, he actually got us these keychains from Vegas that I have in my pocket. He got me and my friend John over there, who's also another one of his friends from rehab. It says, straight out of rehab. It's this cute little pendant.
Representing the straight out of college song.
Right. But he's like, I got you guys something. We're like, what? He sent us a picture. He's like, I want to, and it was great. But Tom was an absolute blessing to this world. I'm glad I got to meet him. And I will say that, unfortunately, he was too humble to ask for help. And I was in that boat too. And I understand it. But you gotta ask for help. I came over to his house. I tried. People can do whatever they need to do. They can try to do. But unfortunately, with this disease, you gotta be able to ask for help. And guy is, and I'm blessed to have met him because this world is going to be darker without him. So I love you, Nancy. I love Tom, and thanks for hearing me out.
My brother talked about Nick all the time, so I know a lot of stories
My
about Nick.
picture's up there for Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Don't mind it.
Yeah.
You guys saw Wolverine and Deadpool. That was the first movie. It's kind of the first time I saw it. So I'll never see that again without thinking of it.
For the record, Chucky did swear.
You might have said yes or only. That was it.
So my husband actually met Tom G before I did. They spent
Not
time.
me.
That's great.
They had spent time in this Shanghai spa, which the way they talked about it is something you apparently can only understand if you helped open Shanghai. I met him when I had a meeting show up in my schedule with Sue LeBar and Tom G, and I'm like, I'm either getting fired or I'm moving teams. And luckily, I was moving teams, and I got moved to Tom G's team. And at the time, Gabe and I were going for the record of who could be on TAs for the longest. Gabe won. And Tom G really took the time, I know he did with both of us, to find out why we had been on that journey, what we needed, what skill sets we had to highlight us, and he did that for so many leaders. But I think the key to that piece is that Tom G asked, how are you? How are you doing? And meant it. Every time he said it, you knew that he was giving you the time to genuinely answer that question, and he genuinely wanted to know that answer. And I think that's the most special thing about him. And in his honor, I want to encourage everybody to do that more, because I think we do get into that habit of asking, how are you, as just that everyday thing and not genuinely asking them.
For the record, Tara and me used to get paid to be funny together. I'm Gabe. I've known Tom for the best part of 20 years. So I used to be a ghost from time to time, usually in the Halloween season. And every time Tom was on the bridge, I would look over, stop doing what I was supposed to be doing, and wink at him, you know, just to make him feel special, just the way it makes everyone else feel. But I would imagine quite a few of you have heard this story, because anytime I met someone with Tom next to me, he's like, let me tell you this story about Gabe. At the time, Tom was in costuming, needed a shop steward. I was the only shop steward at Magic Kingdom. I had already gotten into full makeup, some wacky contacts, and this poor lady from Main Issue had scanned something out to the wrong person or something. Who needed to write a statement? They opened the door and they go, "This is Gabe, he'll be your shop steward." And she looked like she had seen a ghost. Because she did. I proceeded to sit with this lady, we wrote out the whole story, yada yada. So the next day, I went up and felt like I needed to introduce myself as me. And this lady did not believe me that I was listening. No, I was a ghost there yesterday. That was not you. She literally thought I was you. I love that story so much, you would tell anyone who would listen. I think I can speak for a lot of people in this room that I would not be where I am without Tom. You know, people have superpowers that they don't tell anyone. And Tom's superpower was to believe in you. If you ever needed someone to believe in you, just go talk to Tom, and you'll feel better about yourself walking out the door. So, I'm a better person because Tom was in my life, and I think a lot of people out here are. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you, everyone.
I remember when Tom told me about when Gabe got his promotion. And they brought Gabe in, they gave him a little bit of a scare, but it was also one of Tom's great things that he did. Gabe, by the way, Tom sent me a message the other day, something about I need to borrow the car. He did say that, but I promise. Tom, legacy right there is a great word for Tom. I was at his house a couple nights ago, and I went to the convenience store right by his house, and I was just getting something to drink. and I was in his car. And it's funny because I do have my own car, but every time I would drive his, he would always tell me how much joy it brought him seeing me drive his car, because he knew how much I enjoyed driving his car. It was something we bought over since we were little, because everything I like pretty much is because of him. Because the greatest things in me are because of what he did in my life. But I went to the gas station, I get out, and sitting there, and there's a guy that works with him at the gas station. He's like, give me the weird look, and I'm like, sure or something? My nails were paid, yes, so that was a day. But he looked at the car, and he's kind of talking to me for a second. I go, oh yeah, Tom. And he's like, oh, Tom, you know Tom? I go, he's my brother. And at this point, Tom had already passed on. And he went on to rambling about my brother I was late getting back to the house. They were like, where you at? And we rambled for about 20 minutes. And I said, how do you know Tom? And he goes, oh, he's out here, he got gas all the time. And it just showed, he pulled his wallet out, and he pulled out Tom's business card. And he put it right there out. He's like, where's Waldo? Where's Tom's business card at? But it had a little thing on there like, I believe you can, or something like that, wrote on the back. And the guy started telling me about how he was working there, but he thought he should do something better. And he said that Tom spent about 20 or 30 minutes one day just talking into him. And I said, how long have you guys met each other before? He goes, no, it's the first time I met Tom. And it doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't blow my mind whatsoever, because that's who he was. He was blessed. He did make really good money towards the end there, and we used to always be competitive about that, things of that nature. He had his high school diploma. I had my good enough diploma, and but we had a lot of success in our life. And it was, again, I know where I get this, but it wasn't about like the money. It was more about like we go on like LinkedIn and stuff like that. Like, look at this person, like I look what they said, and that's what drove us. That's what drove him. Man, look at that driver process there. Woo. But Tom, being the unique man that he was, made sure that he could talk to anyone and make sure that he could build them up. If you having a bad day and really be like a person that didn't have all the great things going for you, but Tom was find the one and use that to build you up, like they said. His talents went so far beyond just like, cooking. God, he was a really good chef man. He can throw down. My brother, in his 50s, I don't know, some of you may, some may not, was one of the most amazing skateboarders you've ever seen. And just little things like that were his love, his drive, but also make him unique in every aspect. I remember we got his first tattoo, we went and got it together, and there's all the tattoo. And we got his first tattoo together, and he was telling people stories about what the tattoo was. And again, it took us probably an hour and a half to leave Universal from getting that tattoo that day from Ben Coffee. Yeah, right? You will be missed. Yes, please, come on. Sorry. Yeah, we made pictures, I guess, I did. And I know some of you got things you want to say about Tom, but you're like, don't you get up here? It's all good. What Tom want you to do, so think about that. Go ahead. This is Dampy right here. This is not Fred, this is Dampy.
So, I was Tom's work wife. Tom and I have been through a lot together for the last, 25 years or so. When I was talking to Nancy last night, I said, what do you want us to wear? And she goes, Red Sox colors. I go, what does that mean? What other colors? She's like, well, navy too. I was like, okay, I don't know. And then someone asked me if I even knew who the Red Sox were, and actually I did. But truly, I met Tom back in 1998 when we were opening Animal Kingdom together. He was coordinator, and I was coordinator, and we just had a friendship. And our friendship just kept growing and growing. It meant the world to me. And then in 2010, I got to go work in costuming side by side with him, which I thought was the biggest mistake because I knew nothing about costumes. Seriously, I remember sitting in meetings with Tom, and I'm like, I have no clue what they're talking about. They're talking about Mary Janes. What are they? I don't know. But Tom helped me through a lot of that, and our costuming friends helped me through a lot of that, and it ended up becoming, truly in my Disney career, it was the best thing that I've ever done in my career, someone that really helped me along the journey with something I didn't know, and it made me feel great about what I was doing, because I realized these are people, we just gotta manage people. And if we can get through that, be kind and be nice, that's what they want, and you'll learn the job. And you know, that's what I did. I learned as much as I possibly could in my time there. But Tom was always a slob too, so I don't know, when we would do Christmas and Halloween, I always wanted to kill him, that's what I told him, because he would leave all the boxes in the aisle and just leave them for weeks and days, and I'd be like, Tom, if you don't get these boxes out of here, I'm going to kill you, or I'm throwing them to the curb. Pick your choice. I'm giving you a room needs to be clean. So, and then truly, like, from that, we ended up working in entertainment together for all these years, and you know, coming into work every Sunday through Thursday, I knew Tom's routine, I knew where he was going to go, and it's been great working side by side with him. He always meant a lot to me. He was a dear friend, he always cared about me, he always checked on me, and I always appreciated that about him.
We love you. We love you. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
And when he was going through all his struggles, I tried to be there for him. Be the best person I could be for him and give him the strength to lift him up. And I hope I did the best that I could for him.
Absolutely.
During that time. I just found this, and I just want to read it to you because it's truly it's just a little poem. We're here to celebrate your life and measure of its worth, and every single life you touched while you were here on earth. We wish to pay our last respects. That's why we are all here, to thank you for your friendship and the memories we hold dear. It's been a privilege to have known you. We were family, not just friends. And we will carry you in spirit until we meet up again. Please just be friends. Love each other. That's all Tom would want for all of us. Thank you.
Would Tom be proud of me for that? That's great.
Everybody talked about how fun and loving and he definitely was, and he was definitely funny, but I want to tell you there's another side to Tom that a lot of people maybe didn't know. He was very spiritual. In the time over in the Animal Kingdom when it was opening, we Skippy and crew, I want to tell you I was in a really tough position. I was a single parent with 2 girls. And if you've had teenagers with girls, you can imagine. But anyway, I will tell you, he knew that I was a spiritual person, and he would pray with me. He would come in and see that I was not having a good day, and he would hold my hand. He said, "Let's pray," and he would cite the exact song that I needed, or tell
I'm Karen. I'm the voice of the costuming admin desk. A lot of you know who I am. I've been there for 25 years and have known Tom since whenever you said you guys came to costuming. I have a few little stories. I left the office one day to go for an MRI. And when I got off the table at the MRI, I had vertigo. Extremely. I couldn't even walk out the front door. So I got in my car, I called my parents who had to come get me. And I had expected to go back to work from Magic Kingdom. And so I left all my stuff there, just took, whatever I needed. And my parents had to come get me and drive my car home and take me home. And the next day I was talking to my husband and I said, I don't know what to do. My whole bag is at work with all my other stuff. He said, well, don't you know anybody who lives here? And I said, well, I have a costuming manager who lives somewhere around here near us. And so I found him and I called him on the phone. I really didn't know him all that well at the time. And I said, I have a humongous favor to ask you. Can you please go to my desk, get my bag out from under the desk, and on your way home, will you drop it off at my house? And he said, of course. He didn't even think twice. And then he checked on me the next few days. I actually was out of work for a little while until it finally dissipated. My sister, here's another story. My sister worked at the town planning board in St. Cloud for quite a few years. And anytime something around his area was getting built, he would call me and say, hey, you need to tell me what's being built before anybody in town knew. So I would call my sister and she said, well, this
So
is
it's you guys. Yeah, like this actually just coming up. Like, are you sure? He's like, I gotta connect.
yeah. She would give me the information, then we would pass it on. When I had one other story, and I don't know if I can even remember it. Oh, some years ago when you two had hooked up again, he was up in the office and we were talking Patriots and Red Sox, as we always did. And he mentioned that, and I don't know if you remember me from when you were in the area, okay. He mentioned to me that you two had hooked up, got back together again, and he was just glowing. And I was really happy for him. So, like everybody, sorry, he will be missed.
Stop staying up here. I'm watching next, I promise. I was standing up here, I was trying to think of a funny story real quick. Michael, where are you at? Sorry, Michael. Michael's my uncle. He is 10 days to the day older than me. Tom and Michael and I are driving one day, and my brother's almost, my brother's like on another level. Like, I think he could truly be like a Jedi, like a mind trick thing. And so we're driving, and you know those little bumps in the road, right in the middle? My brother, literally, I think Michael and I met at 12 or 13, I don't even know. He's talking to us while we're learning how to drive. I'm like, yeah, you this. Well, you gotta be careful when you drive. And I'm like, of course. Mike's like, yeah. He goes, well, you gotta remember the bumps in the middle of the road. And I'm like, okay. He goes, well, there's sort of, there's sort of blind people. And I was like, blind people drive? He's like, yeah. He goes, that's why the bumps in the road. We're like, okay. But what about? He goes, well, then the red light makes a noise. I'm like, oh, wow, really? And he had us going for God knows how long. And then finally realized, I guess I should tell them. And he made us laugh. And what other, again, sorry, Michael, man, I love you. Yeah. Michael and I were all eating, and Michael had a can of, it was like BB Weenie or something like that, I think. And he pours it out, and we're starting to eat like that, and Michael looks at it, and he goes, man, is that and it was a piece of pork fat. When he picked it up, he goes, oh, we got the square bean. And Tom had Michael just follow that, believe that for quite some time. And it was those little things like that. He just wanted, and the reason he did that is he wanted people to laugh. He wanted people to smile, truthfully. So, gotta remember that for Tom. So, Lisa. No, yeah. No, okay. Oh, sorry.
I couldn't follow Joanne. I'm not a person for the stage. You guys that know me know I stay backstage. That's my realm. So addressing to everyone, I want to talk to Nancy for a minute, and you get the privilege to hear. I had the honor of having Tom on my task force when we opened Aulani Resort, which you see here. I didn't get the Boston memo, but I got the Aulani.
All good.
And I just want to say, how that man survived the 6 months we were there to come back here, I still don't know. When we got there, we asked one of our coordinators, Joanne Malloy, how do we experience Aulani? How do we experience Hawaii? And she said, well, there's two sides. You want the plastic side of Waikiki, you want the real side. We wanted the real side. I had my hiking boots, had my hiking staff. We ended up on the ridges of Pearl down. It was just amazing. Where Auntie from the Polynesian had told us where she watched the Pearl Harbor attacks. That was no words to be able to share that feeling with Tom. One particular hike we had went was a little bit north of the resort. It's called Wanawaki. It's a peninsula that goes out, a bit of a hill on it. Pretty dangerous hiking. There's a reason he showed you that. And with that lay right there is why I want to share the story. We hiked around. We were there at high tide. Don't do that. Had to wait to be able to get off the island. Made it off. We're at a production meeting about 3 weeks later with Auntie Nettie, that was our spiritual guide for the whole program, planning the opening ceremonies. And it was determined that the opening ceremonies would have boats coming in with performers on it, and they would have leis representing the different islands around. It was something from that island. And so Joanne had a brother that lived on Maui and was able to get seaweed to make a lei for them. Auntie Nettie suggested that we go to Maui and to get the moss to be able to pick and make the lei to represent Oahu itself. Hawaii, if you've had the opportunity to go, is a very culturally specific location. Natives can harvest anything on island. Those of us from the mainland can't. And Auntie knew we had been there. And she said, Matt, why don't you and Tom go hike and get the moss to be able to make the lei for Oahu? Like, Auntie, we can't do that. We're Hawaii, we're mainland. She said, no, I'll give you my lesson. But when you get there, pick a piece of the moss, throw it back to Pele in the water, and then harvest what you need in the backpack and come back. I said, what if we get stopped? She said, just tell the guards there that Auntie sings you. I feel like biblical story of going into town and finding an ass tied up outside and just say the master needs it, okay? We go on our hike, we make sure to get it in low tide, we get everything that we need, coming back around to the parking lot, and sure enough, Honolulu security comes walking up the road, like, we're screwed, dude. And they come up, they said, well, what are you doing here? I said, well, we're harvesting moss. They said, well, you're mainland. I said, yes, but Auntie Nettie told us to do it. Did you throw some back to Pele? Yes. Please, go on. He was at that site where you're running to a place where those pictures were, when it was still roped off. He had to see it. I'm so glad you had the opportunity to live out there. Tom was a man of quotes. There's one that I like, it's actually from the mother of Edward Bach, the Bach Tower, just a few miles from here. It says, leave the world a better place because you're here. Tom has done that. And to whoever said that Tom didn't cuss much, my friend, his mantra throughout most of the work that I was with him, show up, do your work, don't suck. That's just like
That's the biggest compliment I ever heard. No. Okay. We'll have more kids and lessons.
Okay. I love everyone's stories out here, but this is not a story about Tom. It's a story about a Gift a World child that I'm supposed to tell to Nancy. I'll try to not cry. I'm so sorry.
Some of you are tissues.
Okay. As a volunteer, I love you. Thank you, Mom. At Give Kids a World, being a volunteer a long time ago, I had met a sweet little girl, and then I met her as a performer in the morning, and then later on, with no makeup, trying to go out there and be a volunteer, and then I met this sweet little girl, but I met her in the morning, and then you to bring this birthday card to your granddaughter. And I said, my name is Joanne Bogart. I'm a volunteer here at Give Kids the World. And she goes, oh, you're, and I'm like, no, I'm not. My name is Joanne Bogart, and I'm a volunteer. So this sweet little child, I believe she would want me to tell you the story. And her grandmother said, tell Miss Joanne where you're going. So I'm thinking, oh, the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, somewhere. And she goes, I have to leave soon. And I said, oh, where are you going? And she goes, I'm going to go live with Jesus. And she goes, but I can't leave yet. And I said, I don't know why I said this. I said, why can't you leave yet? And she says, because he's not finished with my house yet. Do you want to know what it looks like? And I said, yes, I would love to know what it looks like. I still don't remember the third room, but the first room was all her Barbie doll clothes, and the second room was all of her Barbies. And she goes, but Miss Joanne, my favorite part is in the backyard, I'm going to have a big tree, it's going to have a big rope and a big tire, and I'm going to swing on it all day long. Being a military child, that was always my dream. But this is why I'm supposed to tell you this. The little girl said to me, but I can't leave yet, because he's still working on my house. But Miss Joanne, you know what's sad? And I said, what's that? And she goes, Mom and Dad tucked me into bed, and then Mom and Dad go in the room and I can hear them cry. And I said, well, they're just gonna miss you when you go live with Jesus. Well, don't you know, silly? With this one little blonde strand of hair coming out of her scalp, cute little bathing suit. And she goes, well, don't you know, silly? And I said, well, don't I know what? She goes, well, when I get up there, I'm gonna make Mom and Dad's house right next door to mine. And Mom's gonna have, and Mom is gonna have all the fur coats she wants. And Daddy's gonna have a big black limousine. And I go, so? She goes, but I can hear them crying. I said, well, next time you hear them crying, you go knock on that door, because you don't know if Mom and Dad are dressed yet. If they're dressed. Yeah. I'm coming in, Mom and Dad. And I told her, I said, what you need to tell them is when you get inside, you let them know, don't cry for me, Mom and Dad, because I'm going to make your house right next door to mine. And Mom, you're going to have all the fur coats you want, and Dad, you're going to have the big black limousine. So what I'm supposed to tell you is he's just went ahead of you to make your house. And he's going to make it really beautiful for you up there. He's going to make you a sewing room and wet rooms so that you can make all of the dresses and outfits that you want to make. And I don't know what else, but that's the only thing that can get that room. So, and probably a beautiful kitchen so he can cook for you. So that is where I feel I'm supposed to tell you. He's just gone ahead to make that beautiful home for the sewing room that you have and the beautiful kitchen that he'll be able to make all the meals that you want. So that's where, for anyone that's here, if your loved one is passed on, they've just gone ahead of you to make their home for you. So don't cry for them, because they're just getting busy up there making that beautiful home for you. Thank you.
So I grew up with a pretty awesome thing in my life, and that was having Uncle Tom. One of my mom's favorite things to always tell me is that for someone who was raised in my position, my circumstances, I ended up pretty lucky. I've gotten a lot of opportunities that other people wouldn't have, and my Uncle Tom played a big part in that. I like to think I had two sets of parents. My mom, and that was my Aunt Barbara and my Uncle Tom. He was with me through a lot of first things. First time getting a suit, first time getting a tie, he taught me how to shave. He tried to teach me how to drive a manual. I stalled his car a lot. But most of all, he taught me a really valuable lesson in empowering those around you. I've heard a lot of stories from people here today. I'm sure they have the same experience. Someone already said it, and I'm glad that he didn't just spread it to me. One of the things I remember most of him saying, and that I keep with me every day, and I repeat probably a little bit too often. I don't even remember what it was for, what he did, what I was saying thank you for, but all he said after was pay it forward. That's something I like to live by. Whenever I get the chance to do something, I want to do it for that person, and that's all I ask in return. Pay it to someone forward. Pay it to the person next to you, your friend, your family, anyone. And that's something that he did. The best part of my uncle was what he gave others. What he spread, the joy, the happiness, the horrible jokes, the great food, all of it. And he's given me love for so many things. One of those is cooking, grilling. My mom's very happy about that one. And skateboarding, both actual and in PS3 games. And I can say that as I've gotten older, I did not just see him as a second set of parents, but in a way, a father that I missed out on. And I'm going to miss him for that. So thank you.
Not upset, it's not a question at all. I looked at him as like almost like my dad too, even through later in life, you know. I love all the people telling me that I remind them of Tom, and I thank them for that. And as Tom's in my ear right now, I may remind you of Tom, but I am the prettier one. That's what we would say. We would say that too. We love those kind of things. Would some other people like to come up and talk? You know, I know there's lots of Tomisms. I'm gonna make my wife get up and talk actually. She loves to talk publicly. Yeah, no? Awesome. If anybody needs a Red Sox hat, you know, Tom and I between the two of us have about 300, so I got you.
How's it going?
How'd I say that?
Your brother gave.
Did he?
Yeah. My mom's probably rolling over in her, wearing a backwards hat with a tie. My mom but you know, Tom gave me one of these hats. I know a lot of people have mentioned it. Boston Red Sox. That was always our common bond. In fact, I have 4 of these, different colors, all from Tom, over the past 15 years. Actually, over the past 8 years, because that's really when we started it. When cancer unfortunately became both of our lives, you know, close ones to us. So, you know, we'd always look for the Boston Red Sox hats and get it for each other. And I'll never forget, you know, we used to be able to, we still can, dress down a little bit on overnights. And Tom used to pop that hat on backwards and say, come on, let's go. And I'm like, there's executives out there. You know, you know, and he's like, come on, you can do it. I'm like, yeah, you can do it because you're Tom G. Tom G Inuisms, you know, it was so great, like Skippy alluded to and mentioned. Tom was always on. I don't know how he was always outgoing, passionate, you know. You couldn't really think costuming without Tom G. I came in 2008 and I'll never forget, he picked something up and off the tarp, and he's like, hey, this is overweight by, you know, about a pound. And I'm like, I got a lot to learn. A lot to learn from Tom. You know, and then he, you know, he left costuming, I think in 2012 or 13, and went over to entertainment. And I'll never forget the first time that Tom G called me on the radio. He was like, costuming 1, parade 20. And costuming 1 by E56 with me at this float. And I'm walking to the float like, what am I going to tell him about costuming? You know, like Tom, every time you come in, you know, he always made you feel like everyone's mentioned up here that he was always on your team. And he always was. And it was always good to have you, you know, he really showed what a leader was, you know. Managers aren't out to get you, you know, unfortunately it comes into territory, but he was a leader, he was a positive presence. When I saw Tom, you know, I reported to Tom for 4 years. It wasn't like, oh my God, hey, Tom's here, you know. It was, wow, Tom's here, he's on my team, you know. So, you know, we're all in this together. How many times has everyone heard that? You know, we're all in this together, brother. You know, or you know, assume good intent. We still use that all the time in costuming, and everyone knows where that comes from. That was Tom. You know, I'm gonna miss him a lot. You know, we've gone through a lot. You know, personal and professional, and you know, he was always there for me. And I didn't think I'd be able to get up here, but I saw Skippy get up here. He gave me the inspiration. I'm blind. I don't know where you are, Skippy. So yeah, I'm just gonna miss him a lot, and yeah. There you go.
And how old did I say he was? Yeah. He was turning 42, something like that. But what I would do is tell people that he was turning 50. And so we stopped at the first restaurant, like Applebee's or whatever it was, and they come out and they're like, "Oh, happy birthday!" She's like, "Happy 50th!" And he looks at me. And so I loved that. I was like, you know what? And so every single restaurant for the next, how many days? It was like 4 or 5 days on the trip. Yeah, and 3 meals a day, every restaurant. And I loved it because it was so much fun. We talked about it every day, but it was great because I'm talking about Taco Bell. Yeah, McDonald's. I would pay the people to come and sing to him. No, literally, that's why. And Jackson, he goes to the last four restaurants, he goes, "You're not leaving my side." My son, who was just a little kid at the time, I'm like, "You have to go make that happen." He's like, "I don't want to go to strangers." I'm like, "You have to do this." And so my son went and did that. I go to the bathroom for the next restaurant we went to. Yeah, that's the link we went to prank one another. It was those types of things. So those are fun memories we have.
Hi, I'm Ryan. If you don't know me, you're very lucky. Tom was a big brother to me and a mentor. I know he mentored a lot of us. Tom and I bonded over punk rock and skateboarding. I remember having that moment with him, like, oh, thank God. There's someone else here. If I have to hear David Wood sing one more show. Tom was like, "I love show tunes," but I was like, shit. So, well, I could tell so many stories, and I think we all have so many stories of Tom, but I think the most important thing is if Tom has touched you and made your life better, just raise your hand. Absolutely. And it carries on. And Tom was all of our biggest cheerleader. So I think we should just give it up.
I remember Tom, Jason, where you at? Terry, where you at? Jason. Well, he's back. Okay, Jason, come here. We moved from Massachusetts to Florida, and we, you know, again, from Boston to Kissimmee. A little bit of transition, as you can imagine. And, you know, I come home from school, and, you know, my brother was so vested in me, it just, I don't get it, man, I'm just so lucky. And he's like, "How's your day at school?" And I'm like, "Oh, man, it's so cool, this is Aaron," because we're Italian. And he's like, "There's a couple guys too. This guy Jason and this guy Brian." Garrett's in the back right there. I was like, love me some Garrett. Love the hat, buddy. Do your thing. And it was so great because we started talking about Jason and Brian, and Aaron, and it's so great. And as we're walking up, we realized that they were right across the street. Right across the street from where they lived. And so, I'll tell one quick story, but I'm gonna make Jason tell a story with his pink toenails. I don't think Jason's ever used nail polish in his life. Okay. We became family very, very quickly, as you can mention, across the street from each other. And as everybody's gonna say, my brother's an amazing skateboarder. And I can remember us like having a little pickup truck, wherever his car was, and we'd have a rope, and we'd pull each other on the skateboard, you know, on pavement at 40, because that's what people do. It's smart to say. No helmet, no pads, none of that stuff. Because, you know, who does that? And I can remember one vivid memory though was it had rained, and there was a little bit of water skating on this new grass on Central Avenue in Kissimmee. And we had skidboards, which I really just think that was what they found in the trash and told me it was a skidboard. It was, like I said, or left over from the skateboard ramp that we built it like hook people on. So we would put it in the water, we'd go run, we'd jump on it, we'd slide. It was me, Jason, Aaron, Brian, God as well. And so we come back to my house because, you know, now we're all covered, I'm gonna change. And as my mom, got Lord, she beats us at the door, she's like, "Y'all ain't getting in the house, right?" So it's daytime, it's the afternoon. And so we all stripped out our skivvies. And my mom just stands there just hosing us off. So I have a picture, if you can envision this, and it's Tom, me, Jason, Brian, who wore very special, select kind of underwear. You'll see that between us because you know what I'm talking about. The fondest picture because we're all sitting with these giant cheese-eating grins on our face, covered in dirt, and mom's just standing with the hose, like disappointed. Those are the things that Tom did. He was so diverse. If you got to really know him, he could cook. He was so well spoken. He was okay on computers, not really that good at computers. Cars, I would call I don't know jack about cars. Okay, I could start with gas line and radios. I could call my brother and over the phone and be like, "It's this, and this," and I'm like, "I don't know what that part is, but thanks." But he knew all that kind of stuff. His knowledge was so in depth, it was just amazing. But he loved to then share with people and pay it forward. So I'm gonna let Jason tell stories if he wanted to or not. So what is how long you know Tom? 39 years. 39 years. You got one or two. Look, Mike, you got it, Mike. Be quiet.
No.
Oh, okay, wrong.
Let's see.
No, you get Mike. Jason's done it there.
I'm trying to think.
That's okay. You gotta do things.
Well, like you said, we used to go to International Drive, and we could hang out there and ride up and down at 4 miles an hour. And one night I had to drive everybody home, and I was driving a car that Tom gave me, just ironically. I drove Barbara all the way out to Poinciana, drove Tom all the way to Jen Scott Road in St. Cloud, and I lived on Central Avenue in Kissimmee. And as I'm driving home, I'm falling asleep. I'm dumping ice down my pants, I'm drinking soda, I got the window open, AC's going, I'm doing anything to stay awake. And I got about a block from my house and ripped the fence out of the neighbor's yard. Tom, or actually, the one with the snake in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
He called me on a clear blue sky and said, "Hey, we got a snake in the kitchen." I said, "What?" Yeah, it's in the drawer in the kitchen. So I raced out to his house, and sure enough, I opened the drawer, and there's a snake laying on top of the silverware, and none of them would touch it. I had to run out there and get the snake out of the silverware.
But it's his fault he had to get the snake out of silver because you know why I had to get the snake out of silver was because a couple months prior to that, everyone's like, "Oh, look, a snake." And I'm like, "He's not poisonous?" And it's that story told me when I picked it up and it bit me 4 times, I threw it. Yeah, that's why we had to get the snake. Jason and Brian were so pinnacle in Tom's life because we met them, like I said, when we first came here. And coming from Boston, and we come to Kissimmee, I can remember that afternoon after school, I looked at Tom and I go, "Tom, what's Wranglers? Why does everybody wear Wranglers? Why don't their shoes have laces?" They were just so different, but Tom made it great. Tom, talking about his fashion sets, things of that nature, I know you guys remember this. My brother loved to be different, and he would have, an April can remember, he'd pop his collar, and then he'd have like 9 collars, and then the jelly bracelets, like I'm telling you guys, that's some pictures that blow your mind. But one of the things he did in high school, and remember Florida now, he had a trench coat, a Harrison Tweed trench coat, and he talked about starting a trend, and I'm like, okay, whatever. He wore that trench coat to school every day for about a month, just to show that he could start a trend and how cool that was. His mind was so unique, his heart was so big, and he is so going to be missed, man. His little side smile pop out of the cool. Love that part of mine. So thank you, Jason. Thank you so much. Jason, he's not in entertainment. Remember that.
Hi, my name is Coleman. I have the privilege to work for and actually be hired by Tom for the first time as a leader at Disney. And the day that Tom hired me is the story that I want to share because to this day, it is one of the greatest days ever. And it was the day that my wife and I found out that she was pregnant with my son, Calvin. We had come home from the ultrasound, and my parents had known when we first really had the inkling that this was happening, but no one had really gotten the official information. And we come home, and I get a call from Tom G. And he had mentored me for several years at that point, and I picked up the phone, and he was like, "Hey man, I have some really good news to share with you." And I was like, "Hey man, I have some really good news to share with you." And he was like, "Who's gonna go first?" And I was like, "I'll let you go first because I think mine might be better." And he was like, "Okay, well, let me give my this is something that I had wanted ever since I started with the company. And I couldn't believe that he was saying these things to me over the phone, and my wife is sitting on the couch as I'm like trying to get through this phone call, and I go, thanks to you, my son is going to have an incredible life. Because we're pregnant, and we're gonna have a kid. And he was speechless, and I was speechless, and I remember the first day that I came back to Magic Kingdom to see him and give him a hug and thank him for everything that he had done up until that point and everything that he was going to do for our family. And to this day, every time I look at Calvin, or that paycheck hits on a Thursday, that first one came because Tom G believed in me. And I know so many people in this room have a story like that where Tom G went out on a limb for them, and he's jumped out on several branches for me over my career with Disney. And there was a day where he was going through some challenging times, and I happened to be in his office, and I said, hey, do you want to go hug a baby? There's this really great guy out there that's in the park. And he was like, that is exactly what I want to do. And so there's a very precious picture that we've never shared of him holding my son, just a few months after he had been born. And Calvin's never going to know Tom, but to the point that so many have made about the lives that he's touched, that will never know him or will never be able to thank him. My son is going to grow up and will hear forever that the life that he lives is such a huge part because of this guy named Tom G. So.
I can remember something was funny here when I got a big promotion at my job, and I was so ecstatic. Tom was always so proud of me. Tom and my wife believed in me blindly. I remember I switched careers at one point, and parents started to take it. Well, I remember my mom and dad going, "Really, that's gonna be one of those marketing scams. You're gonna end up in like bankrupt and homeless." And I'm like, "No, I can do it," And Tom and my wife both looked at me. I don't know if Steve Burke was or not, but Steve knows exactly what I'm talking about. They believed in me, and Tom's like, "You can do it," and they did, and it was a huge career moment for me. So, fast forward, we're at dinner, and I'm buying dinner because it's my promotion. I'm so excited. And I tell Tom, like, "Man, you got to try these cappuccinos, they're great." He drinks one, he's like, "These aren't good." He looks at the waitress, she goes, "Are these free refills?" And she goes, "No." And he goes, "Great, can I get another one? And another one? And another one?" About 14 cappuccinos that night just because I had picked one. And that's my brother. Joking and loving each other, that's how we're cool.
So first of all, we're going to turn the microphone on. It's been off this entire time. Fun fact, everybody. I'm going to figure this out when they come up here. So first thing is, hi, I'm Lauren. I work at Disney. If you couldn't tell, half the room probably knows me. And the first story that I want
So on my arm, it says I love you 3000, and it's in my dad's handwriting in honor of my father. And something that just keeps playing through my head is Tom's tattoo that he had on his arm. That is from WandaVision. And it says, but what is grief but if love persevering? So I know that several of us are grieving, several of us are hurting, but that is just showing how much love and just, sorry, just how much love we all have for Tom. And I know that for those of us that know about his blue name tag, being a legacy person, that is something that he truly did leave behind. He lived the fullest of that blue name tag, and he truly is a legacy of Walt.
And you guys should tell me that I remind him of Tom. I think it's such a compliment. And like I said, he was my hero growing up, and yeah, I think those couples all great. Rocking the Red Sox. What? I'm proud.
Hopefully I'm loud enough. I'm gonna sit because I'm less likely to cry if I sit, so I think it's best for everybody. I don't know. Hello.
It's on. Hello. Well, it works much better when it's on things. So my name's Melanie. I met Tom as one of his leaders. I used to work at communities for a long time. We just missed each other actually, but I was there with David Hood. And like you said, it all comes around full circle. So I had been at Disney Colorado Studios for a long time, and when I found out I was being transferred to Magic Kingdom, I was a little bit anxious about that. I wasn't overly excited. I really liked where I was. However, when I moved over there, I met Tom, and he was my leader. And immediately, we connected. We bonded over Red Sox, obviously, 90s rap, all kinds of things. And Tom was as he was for everybody. I mean, your biggest cheerleader. Tom truly wanted you to succeed at whatever it is you wanted, and he would do anything he could do to get you there. So I had gotten over there, and I had previously done a TA with Disney character events, and it felt to me like it was my home. It's where I wanted to be. When I got there, we had our first one-on-one. That was probably one of many that went over an hour, maybe 2 hours, in his old office with my Red Sox snuggie that I always wear there. And, you know, I told him about that was something I wanted. And he sent an email out that very day to Terry Hamill, who was the leader at the time, who I worked with previously. And within 6 weeks, I was back over at Disney Characters events again. And it could have just been a timing thing. But the point is, if he knew that you wanted something or that you were looking to do something, he would do whatever it took that he could do to try to get you there. And it's something that I think we all should aspire to do for one another in every walk of your life. And, you know, people have talked about Tom's sayings. Something Tom and I always used to say to each other is that good people surround themselves with good people. And I think looking around this room, you know, it's a testament to that. I don't know all of these people, but I imagine, based on the amount that I do know, there are a lot of good people in this room. And really try to. I was there for Tom through some ups and through some downs as well. And he was for me. And I know that I would have done anything for him to still be here with us. And I think a lot of us feel that way. And we talked earlier today about, you know, if you're having any, you know, issues, so no matter what it is, it could be something small that seems inconsequential. If you need help, help is there, and there's someone there that loves you and that supports you and is your cheerleader and wants the best for you.
somebody said something about like a mentoring or something, and I'm like, yeah, he literally like had to come in and terminate my contract. I love each other. Like it was our friendship endured despite distance, despite not talking for years. Like the moment that you would pick up the phone and talk with him, it was like he never stopped talking. I mean, even when we were in break, 30 minutes to break, Tom and I were talking cars and film and songs. We weren't talking about costumes because there's nobody. Like Michael, you said it. What is costume one? Nobody is costume one but Tom to me. Even though I was costume one. Like I would always defer to Tom. He was the one. I don't know how parades is gonna be able to make it, but without him. But that's truly just what I wanted to share is that he was there for me when I picked up the phone, and I needed him, even though it had been years. And he held such a light, and I don't want to think that it's gone because he is all here in this room with us. We're going to remember him, and hopefully Ray and Anthony can come and give us hugs. But this world is darker without you, but I really just stress that all of us can keep his light going because he was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man, and I loved him.
I'm gonna turn this over to my way better half, and Juanita in honor of Tom. The easy pick up, yes.
Thank you. I'm gonna wrap this up because we could honestly be here all night with stories. I know it's difficult for my husband. By the way, I'm Juanita, little Rose's wife. But yes, Tom did call me Juanita much tonight. Pretty much, I've known him since I was 14, and as Ray here, and so he's been like a brother to me. We joke about different things. Yes, I don't like to cook. That's why I married a fabulous Italian cook. So he teased me about having an easy bake oven. I have never owned an easy bake oven ever, even when I was a kid. And I'm actually a very good cook. I just don't want to. I've got a fabulous cook there that loves to cook for me. So, and Tom loves to cook as well. So I'm very grateful for their love of cooking and stuff. But also, Tom was the older brother and instilled a lot into my husband, and I'm very grateful for that. But also for the many times that Tom's been there for me. Whether Ray was at work or something, all I had to do was but call Tom, and he would drop whatever he was doing and come. And my parents have moved up to the Panhandle the last several years and stuff. So Tom was it, if my husband wasn't around and stuff there. And it was never a bother. He always would try to be encouraging. Same as all of you guys have shared everything here, but I am so thankful to all of you guys for being here. If you didn't get to share, please feel free to share with us personally, with Nancy, with the kids, with us. Excuse me. But we do want to be, mindful of everybody's time, and unfortunately traffic is crazy around here, but we are thankful.
I was trying to make my turn and everything else.
Oh, okay, there, we're gonna close up with her here, but we are so thankful for you guys, so let me let her
partner, who is Tom's daughter, the last time that I got the chance to speak with him was on Christmas Day to tell him that he would get to be my father-in-law. And I remember he laughed, he said, "What took you so long?" And I mean, he kind of has a point. We thought we had time. Now I wish we maybe not waited so long so he could get to be there for it. My partner, Tara, she didn't get to be here today, but I know that she would have loved to get to speak about her father. I met him a handful of times. I don't know him well, but I feel really blessed to have gotten to see him I got to see him through the images left for me by his children. And it is vivid and beautiful, and I could not be more grateful to him for that. Obviously, Tara's not here. She did ask me to read something for her, which is why I felt it was important for me to come up. I hope you can understand.
Yeah.
Sorry. She said, "I talked to my dad a lot this last year, almost every day towards the end. If you want to know, the last book he read was You Like It Darker?" He liked the Fifth Step story, and he played a lot of Dead Space. A lot of Dead Space. My dad died on New Year's Eve. My mom died 4 years ago, almost to the day. When she died, it was rough on him, but he was there every day. Sometimes unable to cope, sometimes hiding, but he was there for her every day. And he was with her when she died. I can't celebrate his legacy today. We shouldn't be celebrating anything today. It should be a normal Wednesday. He had more to do.
I will say, ending with this, and know this, that, Tom's so amazing, and something I know for a fact, Tom would want you to know is that, and a few people have said this, but if you or someone you know or someone you love is struggling with that, everything you've got to do, you've got to get them that help, no matter what it costs, no matter what it is. I will forever struggle with, did I do enough, and I know everybody told me I did and all that stuff, but I know I was with him the day before he passed, and I'll always struggle with that, but just know that do whatever you've got to do. Whatever you've got to do to make that happen, because it's worth it. Thank you guys so much for all for coming. Tom, those of you guys that are family, Tom love you. Those of you that are visiting, you have no idea what Tom is. I'm sure you think you do, but it was so much more than that. So guys, thank you so much for coming. You guys come for me. Thank you for being with you guys. The story talking about you guys are great. Lots of sidebar sometimes, but it's good stuff. But love you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming. And
All right.
No time stolen, just quick. We don't say goodbye here, as you guys said, neither did he really. So we leave you with one, the way he told me his favorite movie. One last knock knock joke. Knock knock.
There.